Being the last creatures you'd expect to be deadly predators, it makes it that much more horrifying when you see frogs swallowing snakes left and right. These relatively small monsters don't negotiate. They acquire targets and then swallow them whole, which is exactly what we're about to see today. Nothing beats witnessing a frog biting off more than it could chew. Literally. A guy captured a video of a frog attempting to swallow a snake after catching it near the pond. The frog bit the snake and was trying to slowly stuff it into its greedy face, but the snake was fighting back with all its might. The frog was determined to make it its next meal though, and it didn't consider giving up for even a second, even though the snake was too big and more than half of its body was hanging out of the frog's mouth. The frog just kept gulping down, using its hands, or whatever you call them, to shove it further inside. I never knew frogs could prey on snakes that are so big. Bad luck can be a real stinger. Just ask this black scorpion that ended up near a huge frog. The frog stayed still until the scorpion began to move. Then it leaped with lightning speed, surprising the unfortunate prey. Opening its mouth wide enough to fit all of the poor creature, the frog used its hands to help push it inside. The scorpion's venomous stinger was the only thing left hanging out, but that didn't help it much. It did try to use it against the frog, but after realizing the potential danger, the frog quickly pushed the stinger inside and it succeeded in swallowing the scorpion whole. Careless mistakes can be very deadly, something that this animal snake figured out too late. It had slithered too close to a hungry frog, and when it realized that it had basically delivered itself to death's doorstep, it tried to play dead, freezing completely and not making a move. The frog wasn't buying it though, as it stood still for a moment before making a swift and sudden move. It grabbed the snake's head in its mouth and pushed it in, not allowing for the slightest chance to resist or even attempt to escape. The frog quickly stuffed it in, and that was the end of the poor serpent's life. That surprise attack was truly something else. They may not look it, but these frogs are very smart and cunning. You know how everyone is terrified of cobras? This guy has them for breakfast. Sure, this snake was a small one, but even if it had been bigger, the frog would have probably done the same. I mean, it was big enough to. The noise was what had given the snake away. It was slithering between the fallen tree leaves and made enough sound to alert the hungry beast. It tried to escape when the frog came after it at first, but it ended up almost surrendering to it. Guess it realized that there was no point. This was probably one of the easiest meals the frog had ever caught. Ever stumble upon something that you didn't expect to see? This frog was filmed devouring a snake among the crops in someone's farmland. The guy heard the snake's tiny screams, even though they don't usually do that, and came to investigate. The clip he took showed the frog having swallowed the lower half of the snake, and it was in the process of getting the rest of it in there. The snake is seen wriggling, trying to free itself, but it couldn't due to the frog's impossible firm grip. Their jaws and bite force are pretty powerful in case you didn't know. Once something gets caught in there, it's almost impossible for it to come out. Funny how names can be misleading sometimes. The American green tree frog was spotted among the grass trying to swallow a small snake here. Despite its name making it sound like an herbivore, it eats all kinds of animals. The snake that it was trying to force down was not a small one either. It's not only a carnivore, it's a pretty greedy one. But despite the snake's die-hard resistance and its relatively big size, the frog seemed to be doing okay getting it in there, up until it jumped out of sight at least. Getting caught off guard is never fun, especially when it's a giant, hungry frog that surprises you. I'm guessing, of course, I've never really been in that situation yet. While this snake was slithering over some dirt, it got startled by a huge mouth suddenly opening and dragging it in with a sticky tongue. The frog was right in front of the snake's eyes, but it was that good at blending in. And to be fair, most snakes can't really see that well. The frog's complete stillness and patience also helped, as it waited for the snake to come to the point of no return before it finally made its move, leaving no room for chance. Being too ambitious can also backfire very terribly. Take a look at this frog. Did it really think it could swallow all of that, even if it did manage to kill it? This is one of those instances where becoming too successful is what ends up killing you. Cause trust me, if that frog did find a way to force that entire snake down its throat, it will die while trying to digest it, which is how a lot of snakes die, ironically. It was already looking utterly exhausted when it had barely started. It did have almost complete control over the huge snake, which is really impressive. But I think being too powerful is a common problem with these relatively small monsters. Their appetite is always ahead of them, and it ends up endangering their lives a lot of the time. While it was wandering through a field full of green grass, this frog was lucky enough to stumble upon a small snake that couldn't wait to become dinner. Of course, that's the frog's part of the story. The greedy amphibian immediately pounced on it, slamming it with its very sticky tongue and pulling it in before it began swallowing it really slowly. The snake was struggling to break free as usual, but the frog had already done enough damage to it that it wouldn't have survived anyway, so it might as well just accept becoming dinner. Take a look at this impossible to counter or avoid attack. It was so sudden and so quick that it left the poor snake nothing to do but twitch and squirm in pain as the ruthless frog tried to swallow it whole. The amazing thing about these creatures is that they always make you think, no way they're going to be able to do that, but they always end up pulling it off somehow. Keeping calm under pressure is key, but if your strategy is to be small and hope you wouldn't get noticed around these beasts, you better change it. That was what this tiny snake tried to do, and it ended up paying with its life. The frog allowed it to feel safe for a bit, but then it lunged at it and ended its life with one tongue punch. It held onto the terrified serpent like a bad habit, and little by little, the snake ended up disappearing into its greedy mouth. Here's a foolish snake that decided to test its luck against a giant frog that could have turned it into a quick snack. It had bit the frog on its back and sunk its fangs deep into it, which caused the frog to panic immediately. And it started jumping away without even looking to see what it was. But it was lucky not to, because it might have died out of laughter if it had. The snake was latched onto the frog's back with a fairly tight grip. But as it jumped around and tried to shake the serpent off, the frog ended up getting rid of it before continuing on its way. You know, things are bad when both predator and prey are trying to eat one another. This frog went and captured a snake that was really big and really stubborn. Impressive, yes, but I bet it doesn't feel great when your own food is trying to bite you. The snake knew that there was no getting out of the greedy beast's mouth, so it had a brilliant idea. Bite it back and stay stuck like that forever. This wasn't the frog's first rodeo, though. Many cunning creatures had tried this trick before, and it never worked. It used its powerful legs to counter the snake's sneaky move, and it was able to undo the trick and swallow it whole. Even in the water, where snakes are supposed to be unbeatable, they get their, well, you know, handed to them. This unlucky snake took a dip in the wrong pond and got caught in the jaws of a hungry frog. It grabbed it instantly, and no matter how hard the snake tried to fight back, it was useless. The bloodthirsty predator had gotten a taste of it, and it was never gonna let go. Ever. They say patience is a virtue, and for a hungry frog that's trying to swallow a sizable snake, it certainly has to be. After it caught its target and stuffed a big chunk of it down its throat, this frog decided to slow down and enjoy the meal as it died slowly. The frog had delivered enough deadly blows to the snake to be able to fight back, and it made it much easier to consume without it resisting. The poor thing must have been scared out of its mind watching itself get digested, but there was nothing that it could do about it. Its only option was to accept its fate, as it had already fought and lost.
Did you enjoy this video? Please let us know in the comments section down below. And don't forget to leave us a like and subscribe to the channel while you're at it. And please, turn on your notifications bell to get notified when we upload a new video. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.